Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by, everyone, for the first time in a while and possibly for the last time in a while. Just kind of depends on how some things are going. If we haven't announced it on this show yet, first off, let's see. Joining me tonight is Chris and Ray, Jennifer, and Sean. Coming up here in less than a month now, Jennifer is, I don't want to say moving on to another stage of your life, but you're definitely going on an adventure.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah. So what's going on?
Crazy midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. So I have quit my job, sold my house, and am leaving everything I know to go to grad school in Ireland.
Yay!
It's great, yeah. I'm not freaking out at all.
No,
I'll be worried if you weren't freaking out.
You are
It's a lot.
I could have never done this.
Brave and stupid are like on the same level, but thank you. Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm also in that stage of preparation where I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? This is so dumb. I've got so much to do and I'm not going to get it done, but you know, Eugene and some friends were nice enough to help me move last weekend, which is a thankless job in Texas in the middle of summer. So I do appreciate it.
Okay, let me just say this because I don't know if I told you this or not. I have helped several people move. Seinfeld had it correct. Like this is the equivalent of a friendship intercourse. Like this is the big ask. And there was a married couple at one of the campuses I worked at and asked me if I could help them move. And I'm like, sure. And I showed up and I was literally the only person that showed up. So number one, I felt horrible for them because I was the only person that, showed up to help. But secondly, I was just like, oh my God, please tell me y'all don't have a bunch of heavy stuff. Oh no, it's fine. We just have a couple of couches and a recliner and this and that. And they just kept, and I'm just like, I was there all day. But no, so we showed up. There were several people there to help. She had a van or a truck rented. Most everything was already packed. Like we showed up at 8:00 and we were done at noon.
Hey, that's pretty good.
No, that was fantastic as move goes. So
yeah, we got it all loaded in the truck.
Yours.
Huh?
What, Sean? All the pizza and beer was yours.
Yeah. They didn't even stay for pizza. I was like, okay, I'll get lunch. And they were like, no, we're good.
My stomach was kind of messed up the night beforehand. Otherwise, I totally would have stayed, believe me. So.
Well, yeah, it was kind of done record time. But, yeah, I've still got a lot to move. And by a lot, I mean like my kitchen and my bedroom and my couch. So I've got to do some rearranging. But, yeah, mostly done, knock on wood. So. Yeah, it's happening though. I don't know how many more of these I'll make it on since 8:00 Eastern or Central Time is like 4:00 Irish time. So.
Yeah, AM. You'll be fine.
AM. So we'll see.
So yeah, we may have to do some maybe like midday Saturday recordings or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we'll make it. We'll keep going. So this month's book. Who picked it? Jennifer picked this one.
I picked it.
Yes, she did.
So we started last month where everyone decided to pick a book, and that's how we were going to go for the next several months. And this month's book was Jennifer's pick, and it was The Greatest Love Story Ever Told by, Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman.
This was a group consensus book, though.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, sorry, were you asking why I picked it?
Yes, why did you pick this book?
Well, there's kind of a cult following behind them, right? Especially Nick Offerman now that he's Ron Swanson. But I don't know. I just have always been fascinated with their story. They're both so funny on their own. And then when I found out they were married a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. They're perfect. And so I didn't even realize this book was a thing, and it just came up as one of my suggestions on Audible, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And it was pretty funny. They narrated it themselves and had a lot of side conversations that we probably wouldn't have gotten in the written book. So
yeah, we've read. Have we actually read a Nick Offerman read book on this show yet? Okay.
Just the bedtime story one.
Bedtime story.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Just that one.
I've listened, and we even mentioned that before on the show that like he's a fantastic reader. Like so,
His voice is amazing too.
yeah, he has a great voice. So reading this was like, oh, this is obviously going to be at least it'll be a quality reading. It's not like some of those Stephen King books where it's like, oh, not bad, dude, you managed to do it, and sometimes it's like, you should have paid for someone. But yeah, no. So it is literally just the story of them. Well, I say that it is their love story, how they met and fell in love, and the things that they've gone through. But they do take some time at the beginning of the book to talk about their upbringing. Mm-hmm. I think it's hilarious that Nick Offerman is okay. So here's the problem that I have is that I have a hard time separating him from Ron Swanson, the character he played, because he is kind of so ingrained in that character. Her somewhat as well, but yeah, listening to him is just, I can't help but think Ron Swanson whenever he's talking or doing something.
But I think with her, we're so used to hearing her Karen voice that at least for me, when I heard her speaking normal, anytime I hear it, I'm just like, oh, that's how her voice sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a pretty voice. It's just not what you expect after hearing her on Will and Grace for so many years.
Yes. And see, I was never like a huge fan of Will and Grace. Christy was, and so she would have it on, and I'd listen to it. And I mean, her character is hilarious on that show, and I think it's because he does play such the straight man that that's why you think Ron Swanson, and she does play just out there. And I mean, in the book, she's just raunchy. Like she's just flat out. It's like, yeah, I was dating this guy before, and I had a couple bad relationships, so that's why I waited like 8 months before I gave him the puss. And I'm just like, okay, cool. So, needless to say, not a book for kids, but
in case you were wondering.
In case you were wondering. So let's start off with the general thoughts. What was your general thought of the book, Jen?
I thought it was funny. It was a I mean, there's a lot of biographies we've read and, where they narrate it themselves. So it was kind of along that vein, but I thought it was cute to see them together and hear their story. And, I was just laughing the whole time. I mean, there were a few parts where I was like, oh my God, this is too cutesy, but, that's more my, bitter single self coming out. But yeah, I was a fan.
What about you, Sean?
So I never watched Will and Grace. The closest I ever got to Will and Grace was hold on. Sean Hayes in Three Stooges as Larry Fine. That's as close as I ever got to Will and Grace. And I never watched Parks and Rec. I was actually introduced to Nick Offerman through the bedtime stories.
Okay.
He was the best bit of bedtime stories except for Patrick Stewart, because it's Patrick Stewart. Anyway, I actually started watching Parks and Rec tonight. I got through the first 2 episodes and I'm like, I need more Nick Offerman. Anyway, I didn't like Megan that much when she's talking. Her voice bugs the crap out of me for some odd reason. However, that being said, those two are perfect together. I enjoyed the whole biography. There was enough stories to keep me interested, which is, for a biography, that's what I need. I need stories. I don't need your thoughts on things and all that too much. I want your stories. I want your life story, how you got to this point. And there was enough of that in there. I really enjoyed the story, and I only finished it a few hours ago, so it's still fresh in my head, kind of.
Good deal.
But Megan, her voice drives me nuts, but
so
I can take it with Nick kind of offsetting it a little bit.
You think her regular voice drives you nuts? Because normally her Karen voice from Will and Grace is what drives people nuts.
I kind of got that. And the thing with Megan is, so I actually went onto her band site just to because she talks about it in the book, and I'm like, okay, well, it's like Nancy and whatever.com. Anyway,
Nancy.
I went on, and I watched the videos, and I wanted to gouge my eyes out and stab ice picks in my ears. It was just not for me. So that was out. But like from the book, you can tell she's got a lot going. Like she's got a lot of balls in the air. Use the pun.
Yes.
But so there's a couple of balls that right off the bat I don't really care for, but she's got so many in the air. Like I would like to see her on Broadway or something like that because I think that would be kind of cool. I haven't seen that, so I can't say I don't like it or like it right now, but she's got a lot going on. And the fact that Nick kept pumping her up for all those different things, that was cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. And so far, the first 2 episodes I've seen of Offerman in Parks and Rec, so far I've liked him. He's only been in it for like 30 seconds, but he's cool.
Yeah, I have to say, the thing I like the most about them as a couple is that he is so supportive because she is clearly the more successful of the two, at least when they met, especially. And he has uplifted her and never tried to bring her down. He's like, yeah, I married up. She's amazing. And, just as someone who has been dating and being told, oh, well, you're intimidating, blah, 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 to see a man that actually supports a strong woman is refreshing.
Yeah. It's
really nice.
I got that from the book too, and I really enjoyed that. So,
Chris, I'm sorry.
No, I'm totally done.
It's that wine spritzer hitting you, hey, buddy?
Oh, God, it hurts.
Oh, no.
I just want a podcast of this. Just Sean drinking a bottle of wine and then giving his thoughts.
Down.
It should be banned.
Oh, dear.
So what are your thoughts, Chris?
I thought it was adorable. Again, I'm with Sean. I had a harder time listening to Megan. She's got this sort of, not a whine, but it's sort of, she kind of carries on the last sound that she makes a little bit too long. I don't know. I think her Karen voice is hilarious. And was shocked when I found out when I was like a teenager that wasn't actually her voice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Nick Offerman could read the phone book and it'd be pretty fantastic. I thought it was adorable. I appreciated that it wasn't an advice book. I appreciate it wasn't tips. I appreciate that it wasn't here's what worked for us, so it'll work for you type thing. I like that it was just a really nice story about 2 nice people who come from very different worlds.
Yes.
Who wound up having a lot in common through just life experience and are a team. And the fact that they just are each other's biggest fans. They adore each other. They flirt like crazy, which is really, it's refreshing. Like when you see it, because they've been together now, I guess it would be for 20 years now, over 20 years. And they're still flirting. When he giggles, when he does his little giggle, it's so cute. Because you can just see him like blushing a little bit. And but yeah, I related a lot to the way Megan grew up. And Ray hasn't finished the whole thing, but the parts, there he is. The parts where Nick talked about his upbringing reminded me a lot of the way that Ray grew up. So there were parts of that I could kind of see us mirrored in, but it's just a fun little biography. And I think it's cute that they called it the greatest love story ever told, because for them it is. And I just love that.
Ray, thoughts?
How far did you get though?
I got a fair ways in. I had a harder time with it just because of the back and forth. It sounded more like a podcast. It sounded more like didn't sound like a book, or it didn't as much as it was a story of their, it wasn't really. Like they were
He
talking
thought
about
it was
topics.
a fictional story.
I thought it was a fictional
He
story.
thought it was like an actual, like they wrote this story together and it was a fictional
Like a
tale.
fictional.
Of the
I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna get a character, we're gonna get an overarching story, we're gonna get
world building, the whole
It's
9
like,
yards.
nope, this is just them chatting.
Based on a true
Dude,
story.
About their
It was
love.
better than the yellow lights or blue lights or whatever the hell you picked.
See, I preferred green lights because at least I knew what I was getting into. This one I wasn't really
You didn't
aware
know.
of what I was getting. I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was at all.
Oh, we did do 2 biographies in a row, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, but he doesn't really know. I think for you, you only know
I
Megan
know-
Mullally.
From Will and Grace. And
Well, they're probably more popular in the U.S. too, right? Because
Yeah.
No, well,
Nick Offerman's a
That
popular.
doesn't work. I didn't know either of them.
Well, we knew them.
It was, yeah, I knew of them and everything, and it was once I understood what it was a decent book, and I saw a lot of us in the book, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool, and I like this, that, and the other. But at first I was like, oh,
I thought I was getting a real story here, not a biography.
I'll listen to your love story, even though it's not the greatest love story ever told.
later.
Well, that's kind of their thing, is that and it's definitely tongue in cheek. This is the greatest love story ever told.
Yeah.
Because it's our love story, and it's like, okay, we understand y'all are talking about you. It's not, if it had come from someone else, like some other, to be honest, almost any other famous couple, it would be like, okay, sure it is. But from them, it's like, okay, this is obviously a joke. Like, you're obviously, yeah.
They're both very funny. They're both very funny people.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I really like Nick. I mean, Nick Offerman is just an awesome dude. I love his character on Parks and Rec. Whenever he shows up in a movie or whatever, he's also really funny. But the fact that the man is an actual legitimate woodworker and like, and like, so
I was wondering when you were going to pick up on that.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about too much in this book, but like, I watch other shows and podcasts and stuff with woodworkers who are like A-list woodworkers, and yeah, they're friends with him, and they have gone to his shop and they work, and they're like, yes, you can buy his furniture, and it is very well made furniture, and it's handcrafted, and I'm just like, the fact that this dude could do anything he really wanted in the world, and it's like, no, this is what I want to do. I like working with wood. I like this stuff. So
I like working with wood. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It kind of makes me wonder what he puts on that lathe.
yeah. When they brought that into his character on Parks and Rec, I loved that, because you can tell he was genuinely having a good time doing that. And he mentions that whenever they bring her on as a character, they're like, we want to write this recurring character of Tammy, and she's a psychopath, but she has complete control over his character. Do you think she would do it? And her response is like, only if I get to take my top off.
Yeah.
And he's, and he's like, I've worked with all these different people, and nothing's ever flustered me except for that. And which,
I did a Google search on, because I hadn't watched Parks and Rec and all that, but I YouTube specifically where Nick Offerman and Megan were on the same scene on Parks and Rec, and it brought me to the one scene where they're out in a, I don't know, it was like a festival or something like that. Lucy Lawless was on it. Crazy.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
It's just Nick standing there smiling, and then he sniffs.
Yeah.
And she's here.
yes.
He's so scared of her in that show. It's
God,
hilarious.
I hadn't seen the show at all, but after watching reading the book, listening, one of my senses is going to be right. Listening to the book, oh my God, I could see that. I could see them talking about that scene, like not that specific scene, but that chemistry, and it was like, oh my God, I got to watch this series now. I'm not going to watch Will and Grace. No, that's not going to happen. But Parks and Rec, yeah. When their chemistry is so funny together. Oh my God.
Yes. One quick jag on that. The first season of Parks and Rec is pretty good. The second season is where they really get the gears
Yes.
going. It hits the ground running, and and the other thing
Yeah.
is, from episode 1, season 2 to the very last episode, that it stays strong the entire time. You're not going to have a bad time.
Believe it, the first season of Parks and Recs is only like 6 episodes long, and I can tell that they're like trying to be like an Office ripoff and figure out what the hell they're going to be doing and stuff like that. It's only 6 episodes. I can get through it. I'm having a hard time with Amy though, because awkward characters always make me awkward. So I'm like sitting in my chair going, "Oh God, oh,
They
Amy, don't
retool her
talk.
character.
No."
It's okay.
I love
She's
Liz.
not as awkward. Like in season 2, they figure out where she's going to go, and it's like, oh no, you're just hyper confident. I'm going to get shit done. So
yeah, I know it'll happen. It's only 6 episodes, but
yeah,
alcohol helps.
Well, in the book, they do talk about their, them growing up, and he came from a very large family, and he even says like he was the black sheep, and it's just like, you're such a straight-laced dude. How are you the black sheep? And he's like, because I'm the one that acted and went to Hollywood and did plays and stuff. And he's like, everyone else in my family's in public service. They're teachers, they're police officers, they're firemen. He's like, everyone does public service in some sort, and this is what I'm doing. And they're okay with it. They're just like, okay, well, yeah, that's just what he does. And he's used to having these big families and stuff. And she came from, would you call it a broken home? Like, it was not
Screwed up home.
Yeah, let's just call spade a spade.
Yeah.
So mom was pushing her into acting and performing and stuff like that when she was there, and then dad was never there, and then when he was, it wasn't a good time. So
no, he sounded like quite the character.
Literally.
Yeah,
he was like a B-level actor.
I did think it was interesting though that he's on that first episode of Twilight, like the pilot, pilot of Twilight Zone. That was kind of interesting, but it's just, it's hard when you see parents who are trying to get something like that done, and then instead of celebrating their kids, they're more jealous of their kids. That's what it kind of comes across as with the relationship that she had. Anyway, that's just...
He's like Britney Spears' dad.
Yeah, a little bit. And dear God, is that ever a friggin'...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed listening to that, and they do address some of the things. Like, number one, I did not realize she is much older than he is.
So 11 years?
Yeah. 11 years, yeah.
He was 42 and he was 20.
Yeah, it's 11 and a half years.
28.
Yeah. But she didn't know, she thought he was older, which I also love. She thought they were like the same age.
When he actually said his age, and she's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I did think it was cute that she like held him at bay for so long, because that
listen to what she says, because she kept saying she held them at bay, but they were like living together within like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
So that was BS. Like,
because he was homeless.
That's
Even I got that.
And that's what I mean. Like, I held him at bay, and then he's moving in a month. I'm like, that's not holding him at bay. Like this.
I took it as emotionally. I took it as, oh no, we can be together and physically be together and date and stuff, but you're not getting in here for a little bit until I know something's happening.
Yeah, she made him like, she wouldn't let him in the house, and then she made him sleep on the couch, or right? Didn't she just like keep?
Well,
he had to work his way into the bedroom.
Book,
yeah.
Nick also says that he let slip that they have separate bedrooms too.
Did he?
Yeah, there's one point where
I didn't catch that.
He actually says that she has like her own, like something along the lines of lets him into her bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I thought that was when he first came to visit.
No, that's
later on. Of course, I mean, I know people like that. They're just like, he or she snores, and like this is we both get rested and we spend the rest of the day together, and so.
Yeah, I know couples like that. It's just better for their marriage. Yeah.
So, One of the other things that I also really enjoyed was I may even mention this to Christy, and we got to thinking about it. I think we're in the same boat. Is the fact that even though they have their own thing, they do their own, acting or whatever it is they're doing. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's it. Like they have never been apart for more than 2 weeks. And Christy and I got talking about it. I was like, I don't think we have either. Like, and he even tells this story of he was somewhere filming and she was like in England and he's like, yeah, so I hopped on a plane for basically a 12-hour booty call.
Yes.
To my wife and then flew back just because nope, it's almost been 2 weeks. We can't go 2 weeks without each other. And I was like, that's interesting. That's sweet. So
yeah, I like that he did it because he's not afraid of flying. Like he
he doesn't have jet lag,
and he doesn't get jet lag, so he can survive better with the time difference. It would be the same thing.
It would be the same thing between us two, because if I was the one in London and she was here for some reason and it'd been 2 weeks, I'm flying back. We're having our weekend together and then I'm heading back out because I love being on planes and it doesn't bother me at all.
No, the jet lag doesn't seem to get to you as much.
No.
Yeah, but I like that they have, because being in that industry, you have big time commitments, big chunks of time commitments where you have to be on location and you have to be there. And you have a partner who's also in the industry and they're doing something else somewhere else and they have to be there too. So the fact that they've made that rule and stuck to it is huge, because you hear about all these Hollywood relationships that crumble because they just never saw each other because their schedules wouldn't let it happen. We spent the first 4 years of our relationship long distance, but the longest we ever went apart was 2.5 months. So that was it. And then 3 weeks later, we moved in together. So.
And it hasn't been more than.
And then since we moved in together about 18 years ago, it hasn't been any more than a couple of days, maybe.
Usually.
Like a weekend since then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like being without him. I just don't like being apart. And I feel like I get that from them. They're each other's best friend. They just like really hanging out with each other, and that's their preferred person. So they make the time and they make the commitment and they make the effort to keep that 2-week rule like a hard and fast, non-negotiable, which I like.
Was there anything else in particular that kind of jumped out at you? I mean, they also did mention the fact that they tried to have kids for a little while there, but then it just wasn't in the cards. And they're like, all right, well, that's just not in the cards. And then kind of have come to the conclusion over time that it was a good thing we didn't have kids, because with our jobs, we couldn't have done it. Like someone would have had to majorly sacrifice and we wouldn't be in the position we're in now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked
your story about Buddy. When Megan was driving and then saw the dogs for adoption sign.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And then calls Nick, and Nick's like, "What the fuck?" And he just wanted to like tell her to go home or continue driving, but he's like, "Fine, I'll go and see," and all that. And they got Buddy, but that was just a great story.
I like their dogs are their kids.
Yes, they're definitely that couple.
Yeah. The one thing that I did like was the suggestion about his buddy about go make cookies. Like, go in the opportunity to, like, he was going to do a cooking class and they were going to make cookies and make the best cookies of your life. And he's like, yes, go, because there's going to be other single people there. You're talking about, gooey and, all these things about, textures and go for it. Why not? Because at the end of the day, all you get out of it is that you get to make great cookies. You make great cookies.
Yeah.
So.
I liked the part where Nick talks about he's driving down the road and somebody's tailgating him, and he just stops the car and gets out and berates these poor kids. And all I could think was, oh my God, if Ron Swanson came up to me while I was tailgating him, I would be so scared. Those kids were probably like, that's Ron Swanson. If they were old enough.
You'd be like, I'm sorry, Dad. Like you would feel like you.
I know. Could you imagine?
No, I would shrink.
Well, and then the way he like berates people who want to take a selfie with him, he's like, if you meet me on the street, the first thing you do should not be ask for a picture. Like, talk to me. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I'm like, note to self, tell him you like his book first, and then ask for a picture.
But I appreciate about that. I appreciate that about him is that I because Megan feels obligated to, like, you've spent your. It's like when Carrie Fisher referenced it as a celebrity lap dance.
Yes.
Like, you giving me your money, so therefore I owe you my time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she felt like, what was it? She did this big long run of a Broadway show, and it was 8 shows a week. And she would, after every performance, stand there for like 45 minutes, hour and a half, signing every single piece of paper because she felt that that's obligated, that she had to give that to her fans. And then I like how Nick's like, nope. We can have a conversation, and that's fantastic. But if the first thing you want out of me is my picture and you don't want to have an interaction, then he doesn't have the time.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because they're people too. It's just we put them on. It's a weird culture.
Yep.
It's very.
So,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of her Broadway show, she was in Young Frankenstein as, I can't remember her name, but have you guys seen the musical or the movie? I'm sure you have seen the movie, right?
The movie.
Yeah, so she's the girlfriend of Dr. Frankenstein, and the one that's like, please don't touch me, that was her character. So if you can imagine her playing this like ridiculous, super self-centered, it's me. Like when I was in that play at the local theater, I was listening to the soundtrack and I was like, wait a minute, that says it's Megan Mullally. I didn't know she sang. So yeah, it was kind of a big deal. Like she was in the original cast for that, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I was like, I don't know, she did Broadway, and then apparently she does, like cheap theater renditions while she's on Will and Grace, and that's how she met her husband. So.
Yeah. I can see Nick as the monster. That'd be cool because they end up together.
Would be cute. Yeah.
Was there anything else that kind of stood out for anyone else? Like I said, overall, I greatly enjoyed the book. I usually don't go back and reread or listen to biographies. Which, by the way, just this also definitely goes in the camp of listen to it. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah. I mean, I guess read it, but try to listen to it because, like someone said, it was either Chris or Jen at the top of the show. I have a feeling there's stuff in here that did not make it into the book form because they just kind of and there are several times they're like, you know what? I think this is the first time I've publicly mentioned whatever, like my, growing up or whatever it might be. So, which I thought was interesting. So. Because you could tell there are some points, especially when she's talking about how she was growing up, that she was a little hesitant. I kind of got she was a little hesitant. She's like, "No, I'm gonna get and tell the story," but it's not something she normally talks about. So.
Yeah, they definitely went off script a little, and then they gave us a bonus chapter.
Oh yeah,
at the end, which was cute.
Yeah.
What did you think of the bonus chapter, Ray?
I haven't got there yet.
Dang. Throw him under that bus.
I know, right?
I felt that. I knew as soon as I heard it, he put that bus in reverse, and he's hitting like the gas. I knew.
I got my seatbelt on. Doesn't matter how big the bump is.
I will say that I got to see Nick Offerman a few years ago on tour, and he was delightful and hilarious, and he did sing something. I remember him getting a guitar out and singing and playing, and his wife was not there, but he mentioned her, so it was definitely a treat if you ever get the chance to see him.
Which I thought that was kind of interesting. You bring up the fact that he plays guitar, but that wasn't how when they incorporated into the show that he's a saxophonist.
Yeah.
So, I guess it makes more sense being jazz that it would be saxophone than.
What was his name? His jazz name?
Oh my
Duke
God.
Silver.
Duke Silver. Good job. Good pull.
Oh man.
She has that whole show memorized.
I've seen it a few times.
Pretty sure we're going like number 3 or 4. 4? There you go, 4.
I'm not ashamed. It's awesome.
No, it is a funny ass show. Treat yourself. All right. Well, I guess we'll just kind of wrap up at this point. Like I said, there's it is a lot of stories. It is a biography, so it's them telling just stories here and there throughout time, how they met, some of their how they were raised, and just kind of how they handle celebrity and themselves. And Jennifer does bring up the fact that they are very supportive of each other. It's you mentioned specifically how he's very supportive of her because when they met, she was a TV star and he was not.
She was Emmy nominated at that point.
Yeah, and then it kind of flipped. Like Will and Grace went off the air, and she's still doing a few things here and there, like not a TV celebrity level. And then he hits Parks and Rec and goes through the roof, and she's just like, "All right, well, it's your turn." So, but.
Yeah.
Well, alrighty. I guess let's go ahead and move on to other things that we've been reading. Would anyone like to go first?
I'll go. Sure.
Have you been reading anything?
So I dove back into my smut stash and have been in that pretty deep. I still poor Lord of the Rings.
We can tell by Ray's smile.
Oh God.
I giggled because
he's actually read one of the books before. Like
I've read one, and I don't even think I read the whole thing. I think I got up to like a couple chapters, and I'm like, this isn't a sex book. What like? I'm in like there's like 4 chapters in, and there's no sex yet. Like this is not a.
This is not what I signed up for.
I'm irritated if it doesn't happen like by a certain point. I'm like, oh my God, I'm halfway through the book and they have not done it. Could we just this is why we read the books.
That being said, there's times where she'll start talking about one of them and she's like, okay, so she's a virgin and she can't have sex or she'll die. I'm like, so how do they get around it? Because we know what's going to happen.
Because he'll come in, he'll see me reading and he's like, so where are we in the book? And I'm just like, oh. Stupid
I can just see her reading the last page. She just slams it, throws it against the wall. Screw that.
Well, that's if I'm reading a romance novel. There's
things that need to happen.
I have expectations.
Yeah, this girl that I follow on Instagram, she calls it horizontal negotiations, which I love. And so I'm like, it's got to happen, guys. We all know it's happening. So let's just let's go. Let's keep going. But I do like
build up.
Yeah, I like the series. I like the story behind it, the world building and all that's really, really cool. And it's very fast paced, very plot driven. So they're just books you just burn through. Whereas Lord of the Rings is a commitment. That's a commitment. So that's still on the nightstand. I still have to read the back part of Return of the King, but I have finished the actual story. And then once I'm done that, I am going to go read The Hobbit. And then I started listening to Shadow and Bone. I started that.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. When's Shadow and Bone?
That's my book next month, which, by the way, there is a show. There's a Netflix show. I recommend.
I know I started it, hate it.
I recommend watching that first and then reading the books because the books are very, very different in the way that they're set up than the TV show that I've heard from people who are big fans of the books. Very different.
So you said do watch the show first?
Watch the show. Because it's a nice visual for when you read when you listen to the book.
But it's a very different.
And it helps with the pronunciations because it's a lot of Russian names.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it's a nice visual for your book. But the TV series smushes together parts of the first book and parts of the last book 6, which is different characters and it's a different everything. It smushes them together. So if you read the books and then watch that show, it would make no sense. You'd be mad. So do it in reverse.
Gotcha. Ray, have you been reading anything else?
Re-listening to Harry Potter. I don't think so. No. I've been a lot of podcasts lately. A lot of podcasts on different things. A lot of YouTube on woodworking. Trying to get ideas for setting up a shop. We've kind of thrown around some ideas. I think we're going to do with a greenhouse so that we can open up the garage is going to be a complete shop rather than have anything in there other than my work stuff.
You should get your thing that you were working on.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yes, I have said it. When we're done, he's going to get the thing. When we're done,
I will get, yes, sure.
And he'll show you.
So yeah, a lot of different types of woodworking stuff, and just it's been a nice vacation so far. So
yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Jen, I'm sure you probably haven't been reading anything. You've been a little busy.
All my free time is packing or crying in the corner, rocking back and forth. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm just tired.
Sean, have you been reading anything else?
Hold on. Let me send this down a long time.
The label on his drink that he was drinking tonight.
Apparently, he didn't read it too well because he said he thought it was something else.
Yeah. I just finished the book we just talked about.
That's important.
Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. I read that under Eugene's recommendation. I didn't mind it. Well, I had already seen it like years ago, so I'd forgotten about it. Not a big deal.
Good. Just forget about it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting take on it. I like how they weave fact and fiction a little bit. I think I would have preferred if it was like a narrative story rather than a series of letters. That kind of threw me. And I would have liked to have found out a little bit more after like that, the writer that got all the letters and the journals and stuff like that, what happened afterwards. And I'm pretty sure you said there was a book after Abraham. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Last American Vampire.
Yeah. So we'll see. And then I was going to start, what the hell was your choice? Salem's Lot.
Oh.
I was going to start Salem's Lot.
Oh, okay.
However, apparently I got the wrong freaking book. So I'm going to have to do that Blood and Guts one.
Shadow and Stone.
Yeah.
You're going to have such a headache tomorrow?
I'm scared of that book because I like watched the first 3/4 of that first episode on Netflix or whatever it was and absolutely hated it. So we'll see how the first book goes.
Well, if I don't see you next month, I'll know how it went.
It might be a 1.5, 1.75. I always listen to my audiobooks at 1, but I ended up going to 1.5 to finish this one tonight. And I found out I can do biographies at 1.5. It's not too bad. But stories, I'm not good at, but I might end up doing that if I don't like the book.
Oh yeah, and it's a female narrator, and it is, yeah, I would understand if you read it at a little faster speed, for sure.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I got to get that book. Do that for next month.
Just real quick, so we had my Geeks Weekend get-together over the last weekend, or week or so here. My buddy Lewis came up to visit, and he was complaining to me that he can't listen to books at 3 times speed. And I'm just like, you are a madman.
What?
He can or he can't?
Can't, because it won't let him. It used to, but it's not on there anymore.
Yeah. Lou?
Yeah.
Man.
I feel like Audible gave me the option to do more than 2 times this time, and I was like, really?
So, just check right now.
Yeah. Or maybe it was something else, but I'm pretty sure it said it was the books. Maybe it was podcasts. Anyway, I was just like, you're a madman.
You can go to 3.5 on Audible.
Okay, so maybe it was podcast.
I think podcasts you can't go that fast.
Ooh, let's try that.
I've gotten in the habit of listening to books at 1.5 or 2, and then my podcast usually at 2. And my friend came in today to drop something off, and I had my podcast on, and she was like, "How do you listen to that so fast?" And I was like, "Girl, if I don't listen at double speed, I'm not going to get through all my shows every month." Like, I got a lot of stuff to listen to.
Welcome to my world.
And you just get used to their voices like that.
Oh God, 3.5 speed is like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I was just gonna say, how do you pick anything up? It's just.
Well, see, at 2 times speed, it's so normal to me. Like I was telling, when we rode down here, if you're watching the video version, I'm obviously not in my house. I'm in a vacation house on the beach. I rode down here with Joseph, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I have a hard time driving anywhere because the boys are usually fine. They're in the back seat doing their own thing, and I'm just like, Christy, do me a favor, just please go to sleep, because she cannot stand me listening to stuff at double speed, and if I have to listen to it at single speed, I'm just like, driving. So,
See, that's why I stay on single speed, because then if I'm in the car, it doesn't matter who's in the car with me, we're all listening to the same speed, and I'm okay with that.
My biggest problem is whatever accent or language I listen to, I pick up within 10 minutes. So if I listen to something at 2 times speed, no one around me is going to understand what the hell I'm talking about.
What the hell?
Sean, we all ignore you at work anyway.
Yeah.
I know, and you suffer for it.
I actually went through 4 books. I've had an interesting thing happen. I ran through 4 books. I still have a credit sitting there from last month. I've hit some kind of a mental block, and I'm like, I don't know if it's because I'm on, like, not at work. I'm technically on vacation, and I'm just like, I just don't want to get into a big story right now. But I did go through 4 books. I went through 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's all. I mean, it's a classic, so it is kind of what it is.
That was one of the freebies. I picked that one up too.
Yep. Actually, all 4 of these are freebies. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I enjoyed it. It's, once again, we're talking about classic horror, so the horror is more so in the ideology than the actual actions or anything. I listened to Winnie the Pooh. I thought, what the hell? I kind of needed something extremely light and fluffy, because the first of the 4 books that I read was something that's been on my list for a long time. I never bought it, and it moved to the free version. So I was like, well, hell, it's been on my list. I might as well read it. And it's New Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Jennifer and Chris have both mentioned reading books or listening to reading something about climate change and just feeling desolate and empty on the inside. Like, there's just no fucking hope. Do not read this book, because this is that. But on the fact that, oh yeah, hey, so we're going to go, the World Bank is going to go into a country and basically offer them loans that there's no way they could ever pay back and default on. And as a result, we're going to move our military in and we're going to do shit. And
the Iron Bank.
It does not sound. Yeah, it does not sound like he wrote this as a biography, and I have not heard or read anything that says what he is saying is not factual. It's just kind of one of those things that like he says he pushed off the book writing it several times because people told him, if you put this out there, like, you are not going to, like, someone's going to kill you, like, because he mentions there's 2 different factions. There were the economic hitman. Those were the first people they sent in to try to take care of the situation. And then the other side, which were literally like, oh yeah, the CIA invaded and deposed the dictator. And it's like, because the economic hitman didn't manage to get the job done. So it's like, okay. And it's interesting because at the end of the book, he does talk about ways to fight back, to do things. And a lot of it is based in environmental things. So there was kind of an uplifting thing at the end, but still the whole time I'm listening to it going, I'm going to finish this book, but my God, I need a shower.
Yeah.
Just bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only things I read. And like I said, I did it, Winnie the Pooh, then Frankenstein, then 20 Leagues Under the Sea, and I just kind of hit the mental block, and I was just like, I'm going to keep listening to podcasts, but I've actually listened to some music here and there, which I never do. And I don't know if it's just because I'm on vacation or what, but so, because otherwise the list would have been a lot longer, because I've been doing a lot of work around the house and I had a lot of time to listen to stuff, and I just have chosen not to do it. So, in fact, I did
to a point where your brain just can't absorb any more stories too. You're like, I'm not going to remember. There's too much.
Yeah, because I even downloaded a couple more free ones. Or did I? No, I also listened to Blue Shift. I'm sorry, I did listen to one more. It's another free one called Blue Shift. And I listened to it, and it was okay. A lot of the characters in there were just not... They were just bad people. And I'm just like, why do I care about any of these people? If all these people die, I'd be like, hooray! But yeah, I've got a couple other ones downloaded. I just haven't started them. I'm just not kind of in the headspace, like you were saying. So, well, there's our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. Our next book is, I've already forgotten.
Shadow and Bone.
Shadow and Bone. There you go.
See, I'm not the only one.
Eugene's excited.
Yes. No, actually, I'm ready to kind of get back into it. So, yeah. So our next book is Shadow and Bone. Our August book is Project Hail Mary, and September book is Salem's Lot. So, those are the three upcoming books. If you're reading along with us and would like to, read along as we review them. So, that, like I said, is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It does really help out. In all honesty, though, like, if you enjoy our book club show or any of our shows, tell a friend. Like, literally just say, hey, you seem to like this. I think you would like this show. It would really help out, even more so than, a 5-star rating or a review. So you can always check us out at epicallygeeky.com, where you can find the rest of our shows, to include Epically Geeky Show, the Creatively Geeky Show, and Sustainably Geeky Show. And then you can follow us on social media at Epically Geeky on all the respective platforms. Where can we find you online, Chris?
Oh, you can find me here and Epically and Creatively and Sustainably, which I do believe we're doing a show next week, Jen.
Yes.
Because I never remember. That's the one I remember. And on Instagram at Rose and Hummingbird.
Ray, where can we find you online?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram, and stay the hell away from Twitter, because it's even worse than what it was like 3 weeks ago. So.
Yep. Jen, where can we find you online?
You can find me here occasionally on Epically Geeky, and I host Sustainably Geeky with Chris, and I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Het's Gonna Be Me.
Sean, where can we find you online?
Epically Geeky here. Your favorite broken toy on Instagram, I think.
And as always, you can follow my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.